Okay, so immediately advance. Satisfied that you are worthy to enter the dreamlands, the priests step aside to let you pass, and the gate beyond opens. Before you step through, though, one of them grabs you by the wrist and gives you a final warning. Your journey shall take you beyond the lands of gods. The eye of chaos is upon you now. Follow the path and you shall be safe. But beware! He tightens his grip. Stray not from the path. Each investigator loses all their clues. Put the set aside 100 steps, base of the steps and enchanted path locations into play. Your slumber grows deeper. Add 1 skull token. Okay. I don't think there were any clues to get, were there? Have I done something wrong? No. I wonder how you gain clues. Okay, so set aside 100 steps, base of the steps and the enchanted path locations. So going to our set aside again. We need the 700 steps. And as you can see, there's a little, if you can see that, we don't need the enchanted wood yet, we need the base of the steps, and enchanted path. The rest of these do not appear yet. So let us I'm not grabbing these very well, am I? Right. So the enchanted path is at the bottom or the base of the steps, and then 700 steps is linked to the cavern of flame. The cavern of flame is linked to the enchanted path. I cannot enter each one until the previous one is empty of clues. So that was William's first action. Spiraling stairs. Yeah, I'll put my teeth in. Spiraling stairs descend below for what seems like an infinity. Do not draw cards from the encountered deck during the Mythos phase. If each investigator is at the enchanted path, immediately advance. Okay, so I need to get to the enchanted path as quickly as possible. So that was William's first action. William's second action is to move on to the 700 steps. When you leave the 700 steps, take 1 horror for each card in your hand in excess of 3. As a free action, you can choose and discard 1 card. If it has a shroud of 2, and there are 2 clues here. So that's my second action. So ideally, I want to get rid of one of these clues. Now I've got 2 book. I get 1 book for on the hunt, 1 book for a resource hole. So for my third action, I could actually take one of the clues. Now, I only think this is a good idea. I'll tell you why. Because we don't have any double clue gathering from Ursula, but she does get a free move and clue, free move and investigate. So her first action would be to investigate, and if that was successful, she could immediately move as a second action to the base of the steps, which would give her a free investigation. And if that was successful, she could clear out the base of the steps this turn. Alternatively, William doesn't get the clue. She moves takes an action, and then the final thing would be to move, and there'd still be a clue at the base of the steps this turn. That said, either way we can't actually get to the enchanted path this turn. And William gaining clues isn't. It's going to reduce our hand size. That said, we don't want his hand size to be too large, because I believe some of the, as you can see, one horror in your hand in excess of 3. I think we go for it because I will be drawing a card next turn for William. So let's go for this. So again, we've got on the hunt, resourceful, or take heart. Well, we don't want take heart because we don't want to draw 2 cards. On the hunt. Well, this is a scenario with a lot of monster encounters, so I don't think on the hunt is going to be as useful as it might otherwise have been. So I'm going to investigate, and I'm going to add on the hunt, which brings William's book up to 3. Now, do I submit resourceful? The thing is, resourceful allows me to bring all kinds of cards back into my hand. But we do have lucky in the discard, which is one of my favourite cards to have in my hand. So I think I will also submit resourceful. So that's 2, 3, 4. Against a difficulty shroud of 2. So that puts me 2 up. The Chaos Bag says auto fail. Well, that's Arkham Horror for you. So both of those go to my discard pile. And that's William's turnover. A little disappointing towards the end, but at least we have got past Nashed and Commenthar. So Ursula's turn, and the first thing she's going to do is move. And with the move she gets a free investigate. 4, 5, 6, so she has 6 base against a shroud of 2. So that's 4 up. Don't really feel the need to do hyper awareness. Let's see what happens. -1, so that's a success. So that's the first clue. For her first action, she moved. So her second action, she's going to search again and again. -1, so she has gained both clues. And then for her, she only has a limited number of cards, so she'll be fine for that. So for her third action, she's going to move to the base of the stairs. And this says you have to test willpower, where X is the number of cards in your hands. If you fail, for each card in your hand, you must either take 1 horror or discard the card. So let's have a look. She has 2 cards, so that's a willpower test of 2. I can submit the guts, which will give me a 4 versus 1, because X is the number of cards in your hand after committing cards, so I could significantly reduce the difficulty, and I think that's what I'll do. So 2 and 3 is 5. Oh, hang on, I forgot that. I forgot that we've revealed a tentacle during a turn, so I've got to return the Chthonian stone to my hand. So that certainly didn't last us very long, did it? Again, with hindsight, perhaps I should have taken the Seeker Dream instead. Okay, so where were we? We need to take a willpower 1 check, and we have 3, 4, 5. 5 versus 1, and we got a tablet. And the tablet is -2, so that is a success. So actually it was 5 versus 2 because we've got the Chthonian stone in our hand. Either way, it's still a success, and we get to draw a card from the guts, which gives us a manual dexterity. So this is her final move. I really need to, but she gets a free investigate. So that's difficulty 3. She has 4, 5, 6. Do we want to commit any extra cards? No. 6 versus 3 sounds like good enough odds to me. 0, so she successfully gains a clue. Okay, so that's both of us have now gone. There are no monsters in play, so there's nothing to attack us during the monster phase. So it's upkeep. Untap anything that's tapped, draw a card. William gets second wind, which heals damage. And Ursula gets a weakness. Oh, we're not doing very well here. Right, investigators at your location failed tires during skill tests. Both players gain a resource for the end of the turn. So again, for those of you not familiar with the 13th Division, investigators at your location fail ties during skill tests. It takes 2 actions to discard it. Through to the Mythos phase. We still don't draw encounter cards, but we have to pay double doom. So that goes up to 4 out of 19. And back to the investigators. I always forget the action tokens. Okay, well, it doesn't say that she has to take this double action, it just says 2 actions. So she can get the clue and move. William can then go 1. This does mean I've got to keep the 13th Vision in play for another round. Unless William comes over and gets the clue. Now, Williams out. William's not really got much of a chance, and he's still got to check for the horror. So I think what we're going to do is, for the first action, is going to be with Ursula. She's going to investigate. Oh, I don't want to flip all of them. She is going to investigate for her first action. She has 3, 4, 5. Do I get rid of the Cathanian stone? It's expensive and I don't have money out at the moment. And I must admit, I'm not that keen on the Cathanian stone. So I think I'm going to commit it for a book. So that's 3, 4, so that's 4, 5, 6, 7. Actually no, 7 versus 3. 4, 5, 6. 6 versus 3. 7. What have we got in the chaos bag? Let's have a look. Is there a -4 in the chaos bag? There is a -4 in the chaos bag. So I think what I will do is I shall commit it because I desperately want this action to work. So that is a +1, so we passed. We gained the clue with the first action. Now, unfortunately I had to get rid of that Pathfinder earlier, so I can't actually move myself. So second action, she can now move to the Enchanted path. Okay, so that's her second action. Now, for the third action, we could get out hyper awareness. Now, we have no resources at the moment, but that would mean at least it was out, so that when we do start getting resources in, it's available to us. We could also draw a card, and we are very low on cards at the moment. I think what we'll do is draw a card for our third action. We get field work, which is very, very welcome, so I'm very pleased with that decision. Over to William. Well, William's just going to move 1, then move again 2 to the Enchanted path. As he does so, the act advances. When you reach the base of the stairway, you find yourself in an otherworldly oak forest. The forest floor is thick with countless years of fallen leaves, and you are surrounded by glowing fungi of all shapes and sorts. The soil is pierced with gnarled roots, and the trees are strangled by invasive vines. A winding dirt path leads deeper into the woods. Each investigator loses all their clues. So let's do that first. Your slumber grows deeper. Add a skull token to the chaos bag. Remove each step's location from the game. So All of these are now dealt with, so I'm going to put them back in the side box, I think. Randomly choose 6 of the set aside Enchanted Woods locations to put into play. Remove the other copy. So what I shall do, looking the set aside, and I shall give that a good shuffle. I'm going to remove one. Oh, I seem to have flipped it somehow. Anyway, I'm not going to look too closely which card I've removed. And then each of these is a location in the game. So oh, no, not that. Here you go. So each of these locations is linked to the squiggle, which is the Enchanted Path. The Enchanted Path gets +1 shroud for each unrevealed Enchanted Woods location in play. So the base shroud 2 goes up to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I know from having played this previously that it is possible to spend 3 actions here to get a clue on the Enchanted Path and actually win the scenario by staying on the Enchanted Path. It is, however, not a good way to gain a lot of experience for the rest of the campaign. You don't get very many experience points, and it is also quite blooming dull. So I'm going to explore the Enchanted Woods. I'm going to take that option. Anyway, that was William's second action. I believe. All you have to do is stay on the path. After the first time any investigator enters an Enchanted Woods location, record in your campaign log the dreamers strayed from the path. Only investigators at the Enchanted Path may spend the requisite number of clues as a group to advance, and we need 10 clues. So, William has 1 action left. So we could send him out exploring, but I think we really want all 3 actions, and we are a little low on cards here. So now that we've got Take Heart, that'll start drawing us some cards. We've got Drawing Thin, which will gain us some cards and resources. But I think what I will do for this round is draw a card. We gained Track Shoes, which gives you +1 agility, and gives you a test to see if you can move an extra location, which isn't that relevant for this this scenario now. Would have been. I did think about getting this out early on, but it might prove useful now. So that's the end of his go. There are no monsters in play, so we refresh everything. Okay, draw a card. And William gets On the Hunt. That's the second one. Go to Resource. Reset all of Ursula's actions. Draw a card. Dr. Malone Christopher. Gain a resource. She is unfortunately 1 resource short of Dr. Malone at the moment. I am really paying for the fact that I didn't take a Seeker Dream, and so I could have get him out early on. But there we go. I still have the 13th Vision in play, which I want to get rid of. But that's the end of that turn, so we're over to the Mythos phase. So we are no longer at a steps location, so we only add 1 doom. So we're on 5 of 19 doom. We no longer have the ability to skip a Mythos card, so we click for an encounter. Oh, as it turns out, I haven't put the encounter deck out, so let's go and find that. The encounter deck, here we are. Let's give that a shuffle. Yes, put all the remaining set aside cards apart from Labouring Gug and Randolph Garter to form the encounter deck. So that's what we're doing. So William draws an encounter card and he gets Lost in the Woods, which gains Surge. Each investigator in Enchanted Woods location tests Willpower 3. So does the path count as an Enchanted Woods location? We'll go out and keep doing it. No, it does not. So we don't have to take the turns, but it does gain Surge, which means we encounter a Ancient Zoog, which spawns at any Enchanted Woods location and revealed if able. So just for sake, we're going to put it up here by the top Enchanted Woods location, because at the moment they're all the same to all of us. Now, the Ancient Zoog does not himself have swarming, but he does add 1 swarm card to each swarming Zoog enemy in play, which can be an absolute nightmare if you're trying not to leave the path, because although you're not fighting the Zoogs, it means your cards are being drained out of your pile into the swarm. As we will be doing that, I think we're probably going to have to beat him up at some stage. So that was William, and then Ursula's card is Crypt Chill, and as an old familiar friend for those of us who have played this for a while. Test Willpower 4. If you fail, choose to discard 1 asset you control. Well, losing a magnifying glass would be a shame, but it wouldn't be the end of the world. So Willpower 4. We have Willpower 3, and we don't have any cards we can really commit to it at the moment. In fact, we can't. Can William help us? There's no willpower there. Track shoes doesn't. And second wind could potentially add a willpower. Or we could commit Take Heart, which would draw us 2 cards and gain 2 resources. Well, 2 resources would be really good for Ursula this round, because then she could get Dr. Milan out. So I think we'll commit a Take Heart, on top of which I can increase when you initiate a skill test, so I can't increase it at the moment. So that is a 3 versus a 4, and on top of which we fail ties during skill tests. Now Ursula's star effect is only +1, so I don't think there's any way we can pass this, but we'll see if the game proves us wrong. Also is Tablet, which is -2, I think. Let's have a look. -2, and if it's an attack and evasion, add 1 to the score. So it's not, but it's still -2. So we have indeed failed. So Crypt Chill, if you fail, discard one asset you control. Well, I'll discard the magnifying glass. Again, like I said, not ideal, but it does mean we can play Take Heart. The performing investigator draws 2 cards and gains 2 resources, which is really good news. So, gain 2 resources, gain 2 cards. She gains Eureka. If a skill test is successful, you can draw top 3 cards. And she gains Shortcut, which allows her to move an investigator. That might come in handy later on. So that's the end of the Mythos phase. So it's now the investigator phase. And I think what I'm going to do is... Now here's an interesting question. Do we get rid of the 13th vision this turn? Because we're not going to be taking any tests at this location. Now what I could do this turn is play Fieldwork and Dr. Milan Christopher and take a resource. Now that would actually set us very nicely up for next turn because of the Fieldwork ability to add +2 to the skill value. We could then send William. What's William got? We could then get William to draw a card, heal himself, draw a card. No, we need William to go and fight that zoo, because that zoo could get very nasty in the longer term. The only problem is he hasn't got any weapons. So I think healing the 1 damage to draw a card, not ideal, but might be required. The other alternative is to go and fight the Zoog and increase the difficulty by 2. Now does the Zoog have retaliate is the question. No, it doesn't. In fact, it's aloof, so I would have to spend an action engaging it. And what else does it do? It does 1 health, 1 sanity damage. So I could go and fight it, increase the difficulty, and then draw some cards off of the back of that. Okay, well either way, I think Ursula's going to spend some time setting herself up. So first thing she's going to do is gain a resource. She's then going to spend 2 of those resources for field work and another 4 of her resources for Dr. Milan Christopher. Now, if I was to play Shortcut and move William, that would give him 3 fight attempts against the Zoog, which would, if we were lucky, as 4 versus 3, we'd have to be quite lucky to kill him this turn. Plus the fact we've got to get him engaged, so no, I think we'll save that for now. So that's the end. That would be the end of Ursula's turn. 1 for the resource, 1 to play Dr. Milan Christopher, 1 for the fieldwork. So moving across to William. Now, William can afford the track shoes. And I think, I'm going to bring them out for my first action. This brings his evasion up to 4, which will help, but I'm thinking more about where we might want to move through after this encounter. So that's his first action. His second action, because we can't play shortcut now, is going to be to move to where the Zoog is. As an additional cost for you to leave this, you must choose and discard 1 card from your hand for each clue. Well, that's fair enough. I'm intending to remove them, so that's my second action. And our Zoog is aloof. So what I'm going to do for my third action is engage the Zoog. Or do I engage the Zoog? Because I'm not going to kill it this turn. I'm taking damage for no particularly good reason. So what we'll do is we'll heal ourselves for our first action, play our track shoes for the second action, and then move for our third. So that means I play second wind as my first action, which heals 1 damage and draws a card. Vicious blow, which might come in useful. So that was our first action. Our second action would have been to play the track shoes. Our third action would have been to move. And we're now here. So that's the end of our go. It's the monster phase. The enemy phase. If Ancient Zoog is ready, add 1 swarm card to each swarming Zoog enemy in play. There are no other Zoog enemies in play. So upkeep phase. Refresh. Draw a card. Perception for Ursula. Gain a resource. Draw a card. Act of Desperation for Will. Gain a resource. Okay, and I'm just going to pause here for a moment and have a cup of tea actually. See you in a moment.